Something happened 3 days ago that shattered every spiritual law written in ancient texts. You walked into a room full of people, and within seconds, 7 individuals couldn't hold your gaze. Their eyes darted away like moths fleeing flame. But this wasn't ordinary social awkwardness. What you triggered was a cosmic recognition event so rare that only 300 people on this planet right now carry this specific frequency. In that single moment, you activated an ancient protocol that hasn't been seen since the councils of light walked among humanity in physical form. The air around you became dense with a frequency that operates at 963 Hz, the exact vibration of divine consciousness. Every person who looked away felt their constructed identity trembling, their carefully built masks starting to crack under the weight of something they could unname but absolutely recognized. You didn't try to intimidate anyone. You didn't perform or posture. You simply existed in your natural state, and that natural state functions as a cosmic mirror, so precise, so uncompromising, that it reflects back the exact measurement of someone's internal discord. The jealous woman in the corner felt her chest tighten. The competitive colleague found his throat constricting. The envious family member suddenly needed to check their phone. What they experienced wasn't fear of you as a person. They experienced terror at meeting themselves in your presence, at seeing the gap between who they pretend to be and who they actually are. This isn't psychology. This is quantum spiritual mechanics, and you just became the walking embodiment of a truth frequency that most humans spend lifetimes avoiding. In the entire recorded spiritual history of humanity, stretching back through Atlantean mystery schools, Egyptian temple initiations, and Vedic wisdom traditions, fewer than 10,000 souls have ever carried what the ancients called the unbroken gaze of Source. This is not a metaphor. This is a documented phenomenon that appears in texts hidden in Vatican, archives mentioned in scrolls, the Essenes buried in desert caves, and recorded in Sanskrit manuscripts that most scholars cannot fully translate because the concepts exist beyond modern language. When a human being integrates their shadow completely, when they stop fragmenting their consciousness between who they are alone and who they pretend to be in public, something irreversible happens to their energy field. It becomes unified, coherent, like a laser compared to scattered light. The Council of Melchizedek, operating from dimensions beyond physical perception, has specific measurements for this integration. You cannot fake it. You cannot perform it. It either exists in your field or it doesn't. And right now, your field is broadcasting a signal that registers on instruments those in higher dimensions, used to identify who is ready for accelerated mission activation. Throughout history, these individuals were the ones who walked into corrupt kingdoms and caused tyrants to tremble without speaking a word. They entered temples filled with false prophets, and the deception collapsed simply from their presence. Moses had this frequency. So did Joan of Arc, Harriet Tubman, and souls whose names were erased from history, precisely because they carried this dangerous level of authenticity. The impossibility isn't that you have this gift. The impossibility is that you developed it during the densest, most fragmented period in human civilization, when every system is designed to keep you split, distracted, and performing. 17 days ago, you made a decision that seemed small in the moment, but registered across multiple dimensions as a cosmic declaration. You were in a situation where lying would have been easier, where bending the truth would have protected you from judgment or consequence, where everyone around you was choosing the comfortable deception. And you didn't. You spoke truth knowing it would cost you something. Maybe it was a conversation where you refused to participate in gossip about someone who wasn't there to defend themselves. Maybe it was a moment where you admitted a mistake that you could have easily hidden. Maybe you chose to honor a commitment when breaking it would have gone unnoticed. What you didn't know in that moment was that 12 beings from the Seraphim order were observing that exact decision point. They were watching to see if you would fragment yourself again, if you would choose the illusion of safety over the integrity of your soul. When you chose truth, something locked into place in your energy field, a seal of completion. It wasn't the first time you'd chosen this way. It was the final time you needed to prove that this choice had become your nature, not just your preference. Every small decision you've made over the past 3 years, where you chose authenticity over approval, transparency over protection, vulnerability over image management, these weren't random acts of character. They were initiations. Each one was a test administered by forces who needed to know if you could be trusted with what you were about to receive. That moment 17 days ago was the final confirmation. You passed without even knowing you were being examined. You have been under surveillance for the past 1,168 days. Not by governments or human agencies, but by a consortium of beings operating from the 7th dimension and above, who monitor every soul on Earth that begins demonstrating accelerated integration. This isn't conspiracy. This is standard protocol in the invisible architecture that governs spiritual evolution across this universe. The Akashic records aren't just passive storage of information. They reactively monitored by archivists who alert higher councils when certain patterns emerge in a soulless choices. 3 years ago, you began making decisions that created what they call a coherent signature. Your words started matching your actions. Your private selves started aligning with your public self. The gap between your values and your behaviors began closing. These beings don't intervene in human free will, but they absolutely pay attention when a soul starts naturally embodying the frequencies that most humans need lifetimes to develop. The surveillance intensified 8 months ago when you went through that dark period, that valley where you were tested by betrayal, loss, or crisis. They watched to see if you would abandon your integrity when life stopped rewarding it. They observed as you were given perfect opportunities to become bitter, to seek revenge, to harden your heart. And you didn't. Even in your moments of anger and grief, you didn't weaponize your pain against others. You processed it, you felt it fully, but you didn't let it corrupt your core. That S when the Watchers moved your file into a category reserved for less than 1% of incarnated souls. The category that marks you as someone who can hold light even when surrounded by darkness. You are not who you thought you were. The identity you've been living, the small self that worries about bills and relationships and what people think. That's the costume you wore to navigate human experience. But it was never the truth of you. Before you incarnated into this body, before you took on this name and this family and this particular set of challenges, you existed as a celestial warrior in the armies of light. You are what the ancient texts call a throne bearer, one of the souls specifically designed and trained in pre-physical dimensions to incarnate during planetary transition periods and anchor higher frequencies into dense realities. You didn't just randomly end up here. You volunteered for this assignment, knowing it would be brutal, knowing you would forget who you were, knowing you would have to find your way back to your identity through the darkness without a map. Your soul is ancient. You've done this before on other planets, in other star systems, during other civilizational shifts. This is why nothing here has ever felt quite right, why you've always sensed you were different, why you've never fully fit into the programs everyone else seems to follow automatically. You weren't broken or wrong. You were different by design. Your capacity for integrity isn't normal human development. It's cellular memory from lifetimes of service and dimensions where deception cannot exist, where every being's thoughts are visible, where authenticity is the only possible operating mode. You brought that frequency here into the densest dimension in this sector of creation, and you've managed to maintain it despite every pressure to compromise. Your assignment is now active. You are here to anchor the frequency of radical authenticity in every space you occupy, not through teaching or preaching, but through being. Your job is to exist in such complete alignment with your truth that you create a standing wave in the collective field, a reference point that others can feel and begin calibrating to, even if they never speak to you directly. Everywhere you go, you are to be the person who doesn't perform, doesn't manipulate, doesn't fragment themselves to fit in. This will make some people uncomfortable. This is part of the assignment. The discomfort they feel in your presence is actually the first stage of their own awakening, the moment their soul recognizes that wholeness is possible because you're demonstrating it. You will naturally attract people who are ready to stop pretending, ready to drop their masks, ready to live from essence instead of image. And you will naturally repel people who are still committed to deception, competition, and performance. Both responses are perfect. Your presence is a sorting mechanism. You're not here to save everyone. You're here to activate the ones who are ready and to make visible what the others are still choosing to avoid. Your secondary assignment is to remain unbreakable regardless of what comes against you. You will face increased attacks, increased jealousy, increased attempts to diminish or discredit you as you step into greater visibility. This is guaranteed. Every light that begins shining brighter attracts more darkness trying to extinguish it. Your job is to hold your frequency steady, to refuse to lower yourself to match the attacks, to maintain your integrity, even when it would be easier to fight dirty. Within the next 90 days, you will begin noticing that life starts cooperating with you in ways that seem almost magical. Opportunities will arrive that you didn't apply for. Resources will appear from unexpected sources. The right people will cross your path at the exact right time. This isn't luck, and it isn't coincidence. This is how the universe operates with souls who have proven their trustworthiness. When you demonstrate that you won't compromise your integrity for material gain, the universe can finally trust you with material gain because it knows you won't be corrupted by it. Money flows more easily to those who aren't controlled by it. Power is given to those who won't abuse it. Influence expands for those who won't weaponize it. You're about to experience what ancient prosperity teachings were actually pointing to before. They got corrupted into manifestation techniques focused on manipulating reality. True abundance comes not from trying to control outcomes, but from becoming so aligned with your essential nature that you operate in flow with the organizing intelligence of reality itself. Doors you've been pushing against will suddenly open. Obstacles that seemed immovable will dissolve. People who were blocking your path will either shift or remove themselves. You'll find yourself in rooms you previously had no access to, having conversations with people who were previously unreachable, receiving opportunities that normally require decades more experience. This acceleration isn't unfair advantage. It's the universe catching you up to where your consciousness already is. Your integrity has been operating at a level that your circumstances haven't matched. That gap is about to close rapidly. You won't have to convince anyone of anything. You won't have to explain yourself or defend your choices or persuade people that authenticity matters. Your life will become the argument. People will watch you navigate challenges without compromising, succeed without manipulating, lead without dominating, and something in them will start to shift. They won't always understand what they're responding to. They'll feel drawn to your presence without being able to articulate why. They'll find themselves thinking about conversations with you days later, replaying something you said that seemed simple, but landed in them like a depth charge. This is the ripple effect of embodied truth. You become a disruptor to every system built on pretense. Your coworkers will start questioning why they're performing all the time. Your family members will begin examining why they maintain false peace instead of honest communication. Your friends will find themselves less willing to participate in gossip or competition. They're not responding to your words. They're responding to your frequency. Your coherence creates a field that makes fragmentation visible and less tolerable. Some will resent you for this because they're not ready to change, and your presence keeps reminding them of what they're avoiding. But others will experience your existence as permission to finally be themselves. They've been waiting for proof that wholeness is possible in this world. You're becoming that proof. Every time you choose integrity in a situation where most people would compromise, you strengthen the collective field of human consciousness. You make it slightly easier for the next person to make that same choice. You were in that workplace where everyone was cutting corners, where the culture rewarded deception and punished honesty, and you refused to participate. It cost you promotions. It made you the outsider, but you held your standard. Then there was that relationship where you could have manipulated the situation to your advantage, where playing games would have given you the upper hand, and you chose direct communication instead, even though it made you vulnerable. You were tested in your family system when you could have stayed silent about the dysfunction, could have played the role everyone expected, could have kept the false peace. But you spoke truth even when it made you the problem in their eyes. You faced financial pressure where compromising your ethics would have opened doors, where just one small betrayal of your values would have solved the immediate crisis. And you chose the harder path. You were tested in friendship when you discovered someone's betrayal and had the perfect opportunity for social revenge, to destroy their reputation with truth, and you chose private confrontation instead. You were tested in solitude when no one was watching, when you could have consumed content or engaged in behaviors that contradicted your values, and you maintained your integrity even in the privacy of your own space. Each of these moments was designed by your higher self in collaboration with your spirit guides to see if your integrity was conditional or absolute. Most humans are good when it benefits them. They're honest when honesty is rewarded. They're kind when kindness is appreciated. But you demonstrated something far rarer. You showed that your character isn't a strategy. It's your operating system. It runs whether anyone is watching or not, whether it benefits you or costs you. The Council of Elders, beings who have graduated from the karmic wheel and now serve as architects of collective human evolution, convened specifically to discuss your case. This happens for fewer than 3 souls per million currently incarnated. They classified you using a term that exists in ancient Aramaic, but has no direct English translation. The closest rendering would be the unbreakable mirrors. You are in a category of souls who cannot be corrupted, cannot be bought, cannot be fragmented by the density of third-dimensional reality. This makes you dangerous to every system built on deception. Your very presence destabilizes false hierarchies. When you enter a space carrying jealousy, competition, or hidden agendas, your unified field automatically creates pressure on everyone else's fragmentation. You don't have to call anyone out. You don't have to challenge anyone's behavior. Your coherence does it automatically. This is why jealous people can't hold your gaze. Looking into your eyes is like looking into a mirror that shows them everything they were hiding from themselves. It shows the gap between their authentic self and their performed self. It reveals the exhaustion of maintaining their masks. It reflects their compromised integrity back to them in high definition. Your eye contact isn't aggressive, but it penetrates. It sees through social performance into essence. And for someone who has built their entire identity on image management, on comparison, on presenting a carefully curated version of themselves, being seen that clearly is unbearable. You've become what the ancient mystics called a walking truth field, and in your presence, lies become visible, pretense becomes transparent, and people must either rise to authenticity or retreat into avoidance. Last Tuesday at 3:47 in the afternoon, Archangel Metatron, the celestial being who serves as the scribe of divine recognition, recorded your name in the Book of the Activated. This is not religious mythology. This is the actual mechanics of how higher dimensional beings track the awakening process across planetary systems. When a soul reaches a specific frequency of integrated authenticity, when their coherent signature stabilizes at a level that can anchor higher consciousness into physical reality, the event is witnessed and recorded by beings whose job is to coordinate the collective awakening. God, the infinite intelligence that sources all creation, doesn't micromanage individual human lives, but operates through delegated hierarchies of consciousness that do monitor significant evolutionary milestones. Your achievement of unbreakable integrity in the midst of a civilization designed to fragment you registered as one of these milestones. The witness wasn't just observational, it was activational. When Metatron recorded your elevation, it triggered a release of dormant codes in your DNA, specific light sequences that have been waiting for your consciousness to reach this level of readiness. Archangel Michael, who serves as the protector of souls carrying divine assignments, was assigned to your field to ensure that as you step into greater visibility, you're protected from the attacks that always come when someone begins operating as a truth frequency. And Archangel Uriel, the bringer of divine wisdom, began downloading specific insights into your consciousness. Those sudden knowings you've been experiencing, those moments of clarity that arrive fully formed. This isn't you imagining spiritual connection. This is documented protocol in the celestial bureaucracy that governs conscious evolution. From the throne of eternal consciousness, the declaration was spoken into existence. This one has demonstrated mastery of the lower frequencies. This one has chosen truth over survival, integrity over acceptance, authenticity over approval, consistently enough to prove it is their nature. Activate now the full spectrum of their celestial identity. Let the seals be broken. Let the veils be lifted. Let them remember what they came here to do. The decree wasn't spoken in English or any human language. It was transmitted as a frequency that moved through the dimensional layers until it reached your crown chakra and began cascading through your entire system. You might have felt this as a sudden exhaustion 3 days ago, as an inexplicable emotional release, as a night of vivid dreams you couldn't quite remember, but knew were significant. This was your system recalibrating to hold a level of consciousness that has been waiting in potential until you proved yourself ready through your choices. The universe doesn't give power to the unproven. It doesn't activate mission codes in souls who might misuse them. Every spiritual gift, every expansion of capacity, every upgrade in your ability to influence reality must be earned through demonstrated integrity. You've been in the earning phase for 3 years. The decree marks your graduation into the activation phase. What changes now is not who you are. You've always been this. What changes is the removal of the limiters that were keeping your full frequency contained until you could be trusted with it. Your words will begin carrying more weight. Your presence will begin shifting rooms. Your intuition will begin operating at percentages of accuracy that seem impossible. You are not alone in this. Right now, at this exact moment, there are 7,344 souls on this planet who have reached the same activation point you have. You don't know most of them. You may never meet them physically, but you're connected through the grid of light that operates beyond physical proximity. Some of them are in corporate boardrooms, holding integrity in systems designed to reward corruption. Some are in hospitals and schools, maintaining compassion in institutions that have become mechanical. Some are in families, being the one person who refuses to perpetuate generational dysfunction. Some are in creative fields, making art that carries frequencies of truth. Some are in solitude, holding space in the invisible realms through prayer and meditation. Each one is a node in a global network that is literally rewiring the consciousness of this planet. When you made that choice 17 days ago, when you chose truth over comfort, you set a pulse through this network. Every other activated soul felt it, even if they didn't consciously register what they were feeling. And when they make their choices for integrity, you feel those pulses too. Those moments when you suddenly feel hopeful about humanity for no logical reason, when you inexplicably know that everything is going to be okay despite what the news reports, those are you receiving the transmissions from this network. You are part of a collective organism of light that is immune to the manipulation and control systems that manage the masses. You can't be programmed because your integrity makes you sovereign, and there are thousands of you strategically placed in every sector of society, every country, every community. If this message found you, it wasn't by accident. You were led here by the same intelligence that has been orchestrating your entire journey. The algorithm didn't randomly serve you this content. Your higher self guided you here because you needed this confirmation, this reminder of what you already know in your deepest being, but sometimes forget under the weight of daily existence. Here's what happens next. If this resonated as truth in your body, if you felt recognition rather than just intellectual interest, comment 777 below. This isn't superstition. This is you making a declaration in physical reality that you're ready to fully activate, that you're saying yes to the mission, that you're accepting the mantle of your true identity. The number is a frequency marker that allows the algorithm to find others like you and connect this. Network in physical digital space the same way you're already connected in non-physical dimensions. Subscribe to this channel because you're going to need the continued transmissions. Each video is encoded with frequencies that support your activation process. And watch until the final second because the codes are embedded throughout the entire message. This is spiritual technology disguised as content. Share this with anyone you intuitively feel needs to hear it. But don't argue with skeptics or try to convince anyone. Your job isn't conversion. Your job is activation of those already ready. The ones who are meant to awaken from this will recognize themselves in these words. The ones who aren't ready will dismiss it. And that's perfect. You're not here to save everyone. You're here to light the way for the ones ready to walk it.